Hello, everyone. Welcome to my presentation, Unlock Your Learning Power, the Magic of Word Lists. Today, we'll delve into the exciting world of effective studying using word lists and Study Stack, and we'll even touch on how we can incorporate our word lists into our text expanders. Let's start by acknowledging the common challenges we face in studying. A big challenge is keeping information organized, retaining key concepts, and preparing for exams. Today, we're going to explore how word lists can be a game changer in overcoming these challenges and making studying both enjoyable and effective. So what exactly is a word list? Simply put, it's a compilation of essential terms and definitions or concepts relevant to your course of study. In our particular demonstration today, we're going to look at some of the words in the MTHDS program, but word lists can be used for any programs. CanScribe offers a number of wonderful programs, and this concept can be applied to any one of those. Okay, now let's talk about why word lists are so valuable. They help us organize vast amounts of information and allow us to put them into bite-sized chunks, making it easier to understand. Now, let's dive in and create our word list together. I'll walk you through a quick demo to get you started on your journey to effective and enjoyable studying. Today, we're going to use Excel, our Excel spreadsheets, but you can use Word or even manually record words and definitions into a notebook. I do like an electronic version so that it makes it easier to search and sort, but do whatever works best for you. Creating an effective word list is key to maximizing its benefits. You can include not only definitions, but also examples, mnemonics, or visual aids for better recall. Keep it organized, update it regularly, and watch your understanding and retention soar. Let me begin by sharing my word list that I have started in my Excel program. Okay, here we are in my word list. As I mentioned, everybody can set their own word list up the way that they want. You have to select something that works for you in the long term. What I like to do is divide my workbook into different sheets. So if you're not familiar with Excel, basically the whole document is called a workbook, and each individual tab down here is called a worksheet. So what I do is I make a worksheet for each chapter. And as I'm going through the chapter, I will put in words that I think I'm going to need or that are interesting. You don't want to make this so crazy and so complicated that it just becomes a chore to actually read it. So what I do is, for example, let's take a look at body as a whole. I have my worksheet. I've titled it down here. And again, for those of you that are not familiar with Excel, in order to rename these tabs, all you have to do is put your cursor on the tab, right click the tab, and this little menu will come up and you can just rename a tab. So that's how I renamed all of my tabs here. So we're looking at body as a whole right now. I've got my words that I came across that are interesting. Let's take a look at acetabular. The brief definition here is pertaining to the hip socket. Maybe a way to remember it is an ace sets the table. So we got acetabu, table, for the hips ball to rest comfortably. That one's a bit of a stretch, but try to think of something that can make you, that can tweak your memory. So acetabular, you've got ace, you've got table, and maybe we can throw something else in there to help you remember it. But then I've also got a visual here to show me exactly what it is. So there's your acetabulum, your femoral head, and your femur thigh bone. Okay, let's look at our next one. Ankylosed. So ankylosed means fused or stiffened joints. Great definition. So how can we remember that? Well, ankylosed sounds a little bit like anchored. Joints stuck together. They're anchored. That's one way of thinking of it. Let's do one more. Arthroplasty. So it's a surgical reconstruction of a joint. So maybe it's easier for you to just break them down if you can remember your word parts or your combining forms. Arthro, that means joints. Plasty means reconstruction. So arthroplasty is reconstruction of a joint. So I think you get the idea. You don't have to include a mnemonic aid, but if it helps you, great. And you don't have to include visuals, whatever you like. Now, remember when I said that I like the way that Excel can sort? Well, I'm going to just show you how it sorts quite nicely. Actually, what I can do is I can just go Control A. I selected everything. Now, right now, I have everything sorted on the left-hand side by the word A to Z. So A at the beginning and then Z at the end for our Z-Pak. So let's say I want to change the sort. All I have to do is highlight everything. Then I'm going to go to Data, and then I'm going to go to Sort. And I can sort on any level. So let's say I want to sort by the definition. So I want to have all the definitions that start with A and then B and so on, which wouldn't really make sense, but we're just going to do it for fun. So I am going to sort. I go sort by brief definition, and it will be by cell values. And we're saying A to Z. Let's just have a look there. Click OK. And as you can see, everything has been resorted. So it's very, very nice. As you're adding words, so you'll be adding words all throughout the course. As you're adding words here, let's say, okay, well, you've added a bunch of words and now you want to put them back into alphabetical. Let's highlight them all. Let's go to Data. Let's go to Sort. And then let's sort by word. We're going to do it by the values in the word. So that'll be alphabetical and the order will be A to Z. Let's just do this and boom, we've got our list sorted again. So if you've added a bunch at the end that were not sorted, they'll all be sorted in there. Okay, and also something that I've done just to keep things easy to read is I have frozen this top row. So even as I scroll, I never lose that row or that row. So if you highlight it and if you know what you can do, you could even just type in, tell me what you want to do. If you type in freeze, it'll give you a bunch of options. We just want to freeze our top row. So that keeps things neat and organized. And there you've got your lists that you can go through. What I love is to be able to go through something like this before an exam. Just think when you go to write your final exam. So body as a whole, when you're writing that course test, you've just finished the chapter or the course for body as a whole. So you're somewhat familiar with the words, and a great way to refresh is to look at your word list. But let's talk about 6 or 8 months from now, and you want to review your material. Where do you even start? Well, your word list is going to be great because you've got it broken out by chapter. You can go through, see where you're weak, see where you're strong. And as I mentioned earlier, we are going to show you how to use StudyStack for studying, which is a lot of fun. So I won't go too much more into detail. I think that you've got the idea. I've got keyboarding techniques down here, dangerous abbreviations, pharmacology. So that's and account specifics. I threw in account specifics. So and as you can see here, we just have different headings. You don't have to have everything all the same. But I've thrown in some brief facts about the account specifics. So maybe if you just want to go over the account specifics and break it down into bullet form like I've done, that number one, that'll help you to understand and remember them. But before you transcribe each day, I would go have a quick look verbatim. Okay, yes, we're going to type exactly what's transcribed except for the grammar and punctuation, and what I would put in here too, what I should have put with some of the exceptions that are in the course. So we expand dangerous abbreviations, we expand disease entities in the diagnosis, impression, and assessment sections, and so on. But whatever triggers you to remember something, then put it in there. Now, and you could even do it with the punctuation guide, which I haven't done. You can break it down into simple, easy to understand with a bunch of examples if you want. This would be a great one to have examples. Okay, we're coming along to a new chapter. I want to make a new sheet, a new worksheet. I'm going to click on the plus sign and it's going to say sheet 1. And I'm going to right click on sheet 1 and I'm going to rename it. And maybe now we are doing, have I done cardiology? No, let's say I am going to do cardiology. And let's say I want to have that a different color. I can just right click again and I can change the tab color. So we might just change cardiology to orange. You definitely don't have to do that. I mean, that's just fun. But we would then put in our list across the top and start adding our words and our definitions. One thing before we go from the worksheet, from setting it up, there are going to be times when you have put in a word, you know you've put in a word, but you can't remember which chapter that you put it in, but you want to see it. Great way to search, which a lot of people don't know, is Control F. Control F is sort of the universal find. But when we're in Excel, we can search by sheet or we can search by workbook. So if we have got something that we want to check, it could be in any one of these chapters, we're going to click on workbook. And then I'm going to type in my word and I'm going to find next and it'll take me right there. So don't worry about trying to remember exactly which chapter you put something in because there's going to be overlap and so on. But that is a way that you can go and find your words. Okay, so we've done a great job. We've got our word list. Now, what do we do with our word list? I am so excited to take you to StudyStack if you haven't already been. So let's take a field trip over to StudyStack. Okay, here we are at StudyStack. So basically, StudyStack is just a tool to help make studying more fun. I already have an account, so I'm going to go ahead and log in, but it is free. So just feel free to sign up for a free account. So I'm going to log in and you'll see I have a lot of stacks. They call these stacks. So I've got all sorts of different word lists and we are going to get pop-ups because this is a free account. So I'll get rid of those as they come up. So we are, I've got other word lists in here. For example, here's my medical terminology. And we can do, and I'll show you this one, and then I'll show you how I made this. So when I was studying for the medical terminology, I put in some combining forms. So what I can do is I can turn these into flashcards. So this is from my word list. Okay, so what I'm looking here at athero. What does athero mean? I'll let you guys think in your heads. And I'm going to click on it. And it's a fatty substance. Hopefully you got that. If I wanted to hear that, I could click on this speak card. So athero means fatty substance. Okay, you're going to say to yourself, yeah, I knew that. That was easy. Then we're going to put that in the no column. You knew it. Now, how about duro? Dur with the combining form O. Do you guys remember what that one stood for? Well, let's do a click here and it means hard. So you're probably thinking, oh, I forgot that one. I didn't know that. Oh, let's put it in our don't know. And so on. So that is some fun, but it just doesn't stop there. We can scroll down here and look at all of the different games that we can do. Now, because this is a generic type of a platform, some of the games are not going to work as well because of the input information, but fool around with them. For example, let's do a crossword on this. So here is our crossword. And we can put our words in, joint, hard. Well, we just did duro. So duro was, let's just put that in there. D, U, R, O. The answer is Duro. And you can play with it like that if that's the ones that you like. All sorts of different ones. We can do an unscramble, which can be a lot of fun too. It's very similar. So I would have no idea what this was. I don't know if you guys would or not, but it looks like a very long word. It could be more than one word. So I think I'm going to need a hint. Question, cerebello. I don't know. Let's show the answer. Oh, little brain, cerebrum. Okay. I should have known that because they were my cards. But anyway, you can see the different things you can do, and you can take quizzes. So fool around in here. I think it's a great way to study if you're just tired of just reading. Here, just before we go, I'm going to ask this one question. Arachno. Is it a spider? Does it mean head? Is it the brain or the cerebrum? Or is it hard? Well, I think a lot of people have arachnophobia, which is a fear of spiders. So let's click on that. And we can go through the test and it'll mark us at the end. I know what you're thinking. This looks great, but how do I put my word list into StudyStack? It's a simple process and I'm happy to show you. I'm going to split my screen for demonstration purposes. Okay, so you will see that I'm back into StudyStack on the right-hand side of my page, and I'm in my word list on the left-hand side of the page. You don't have to split your screen to do this. It's just better for demonstration, I think. Okay, what do we want to do? Well, we want to create a new stack. Right at our dashboard page, we're going to click on Create New Stack. And then we're going to go through a few questions here. What is our stack name? Well, let's call this one Body as a Whole. That's way we'll know which chapter we're looking at. And a description, you can put anything you want in here. Just for fun, we'll put words. And it's going to be a question and answer. Could also be terms and definitions. Whatever works for you, doesn't really matter at that stage. And we'll just leave everything as it is. And we're going to save our changes. Okay, we've saved our changes. Now let's go ahead and put our data in. We click on data. As you can see, here is the beginning of a word list. What we have here, and I'm just going to expand the screen just so that you get the full idea. Okay, so what we're going to do here, this is where our word list will be imported to. As you can see, we have a term and we have a definition, but what if I wanted to add a third column? Totally possible. Third, fourth, fifth, whatever you like, I think. I know you can do 3 and 4. So let's add a column here. And let's name our column More Information. Okay, so now we have 3 columns. I want to save these changes. And now I want to import my text. What I'm going to do is go back to my split screen just so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, here we are. We're going to start importing our data. I'm going to click on Import Data. We are going to be importing data from our Excel spreadsheet. Excel spreadsheet, for this purpose, uses a tab as a delimiter telling the program when to stop and put information in another box. So we want to break ours out into 3 rows. I'm just going to put in tab. So if you're using Excel, you just want your delimiter to be tab. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to highlight what it is that I want to put in there. So I'll just grab this, for example. I've got 3 rows. So I've copied across 3. I'm not going to copy my title row up here. I've copied across 3 and then I've gone down and selected my words. I'm going to copy this and I'm just going to Control V, which is paste this in to our box here. And it doesn't look so great, but it's going to look fabulous in a minute. Okay, so we're happy. We've copied, we've pasted. Now I'm going to import. Look at that. I'm going to just expand this so you can see it better. That is everything we just put into our word list. It couldn't be easier. And you can take big sets of word lists, like you can take, 100 words if you want, and put it in and add rows and so on. But this looks great to me. I'm very happy with this. We're going to save our changes. And oh, by the way, if you want to add blank rows down the road, maybe you want to add to this word list, totally fine. So let's save our changes. And there's our word list. So now let's get to work. We want to go, let's just go simply over to flashcards. Remember, acetabular was there. So now we're working on that pertaining to the hip socket. How did we know that? Well, this is one that I don't particularly think is a great example, but an ace sets the table for the hips ball to rest comfortably. Yeah, as I say, that's a bit of a stretch. Let's do our next one. So let's say on this one, we did know it. We'll put it into our no column. Okay. Okay, ankylose. Do you remember this one? Do you remember what that one was referring to? Fused or stiffened joints. Now, how are we going to remember that? Well, ankylosed sounds like anchored, joints stuck together. So that is not a bad way to remember it. Ankylosed, anchor, joints stuck together. They're anchored. Okay, we knew that one. Arthroplasty. Do you remember what that meaning was? Well, it was a surgical reconstruction of a joint. How are we going to remember that? Arthro relates to joints. Plasty means reconstruction. And you can just go through them as often as you like. You can add to them, delete from them, do whatever you like. We can also, as we mentioned, go do a game. We can do a matching game with our cards now. All right, so we could just match things up. So let's just take a look. Here's arthroplasty. We just did that one. So what did we call that? Surgical reconstruction of a joint. Okay, how about let's try mucus. Does anybody see what mucus would relate to on here? Give you a second to look at them and hopefully you can see it okay. All right, my guess would be that mucus means slimy secretion in the respiratory tract. Do you see that we're starting to unveil a picture here? So that's fun too. How about Fioricet? That is our only medication up here, so it'd be obvious that it would be a medication for tension headaches. Let's just do one more. Let's go the reverse. What is the medical specialty focused on the female reproductive system? Medical specialty focused on the female reproductive system. Well, that'd be gynecology. And as I say, there's a number of different games you can play. Some are better than others and will work better with your cards, but this is a great way to have fun with your learning. Okay, so the fun doesn't stop there. I told you that we were going to head over to our text expander, and I'm happy to do that right now. Okay, shorthand is a text expander. There are different text expanders out there. I happen to use shorthand, so we'll be using that one for an example. So what a text expander does is going to expand our abbreviations into full words. There is a webinar on text expanders that you might want to watch if you want more information on that. So here's my text expander down here, and it looks like this when I bring it up. I've got different dictionaries and so on. So what's going to happen here is I am going to go back to my word list. Okay, let's take a look at how we incorporate our word lists with our shorthand. As mentioned, my shorthand is open. So I'm taking a look at my cardiology section, and magically we have some new words put into our cardiology section. What I've done here is I have in my far left column some abbreviations, and then I have in my column B the meaning of the abbreviation or the expansion, and then I have a brief description. So example, coronary artery disease, CAD, the expansion is coronary artery disease. So that is a condition caused by the buildup of plaque in the heart's arteries, reducing the blood flow. Great. What we want to do here is I am going to highlight coronary artery disease. I'm going to go ahead and click on Control, Insert, Insert. This brings me right into my shorthand, right into my area where I want to add new expansions. So as you can see, the section that I highlighted, coronary artery disease, shows in the body. So this is what's going to be, my abbreviation is going to be expanded to. And up here, I am going to change my shorthand keyword, and I'm going to put X, and then I'm going to put CAD. So I want to expand coronary artery disease. Let's go ahead and click on OK. And I'm going to bring in our Word document. Let's bring that in. And let me show you how this works. So the doctor is talking, the patient has coronary artery disease. So what we want to do here is XCAD, spacebar, the patient has coronary artery disease. So we've just saved a whole bunch of keystrokes. Let's do another one. Okay, congestive heart failure. That is a common thing. It's a condition where the heart is unable to pump blood effectively, leading to fluid buildup in the body. And I shouldn't say that's a common thing. That is an expression you could hear in your dictations. So CHF, we want to have that in our shorthand or in our text expander. I have highlighted it. I am going to Control, Insert, Insert, and there is my congestive heart failure. So what am I going to put in my keyword is I'm going to say X, CHF, and we're going to click on OK. Let's bring our Word doc back in, and this will expand in any document. Or it should, in most documents. I'm sure there's some that maybe it wouldn't work, but it works in email, it works in all sorts of things. So like I say, you don't have to just use this for medical words. Okay, so maybe the patient now has CAD. Sorry, the patient has X because we want to expand it. The reason we do that is sometimes we do want to use the expression CAD. Let's just show you. So if the doctor said the patient has CAD, which is, and then we want to put the full coronary artery disease, then we can do that. So that's why we put the X in front. And the patient also has congestive heart failure. So as you can see, you can work with your word lists in creating expansions or short forms. Some words are very long and very complicated to remember how to spell, but if you put in a shortcut, you won't have to worry about that again. Okay, so that does it for today. I just wanted to do a quick recap on the versatility of the word list. Okay, so first of all, we created our word list. We got a benefit there, in my case, because I'm using Excel, so it also helps me to become more proficient at Excel. But I've got my word lists. I can use that before studying any test. Then we went over to StudyStack. That's a fun way to use your word list to create games, test yourself, see where you're at. That's good fun. And then we went into our text expander. So we're also using our word list to put words into our text expander. So you can see how versatile it is. And I'm sure there's many other things you can do with your word list. This is just sort of a basic look at it, but I hope you found it helpful. It's a great tool to have. And we are around if you have any questions. But if you haven't already started, I hope you get started on your word list. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.